look to develop something that actually your customer or your target audience needs. Any action that does not help you learn what creates value for your customers is a waste. If you feel embarrassed about releasing the product, then you are on the right track. Just have the bare minimum. The main question that you are looking to ask yourself: do you even need to build anything? Do you need to build anything at all? And let me give you an example. An experiment can be as simple as making a landing page that says that you have a product that can improve your chances of getting a match on Tinder, let's say by 500%, and then seeing how many people actually sign up. Now you will be assessing this business model, you will be assessing this customer acquisition process, as well as you will be assessing whether customers are willing to pay for your product, right? Sometimes, however, you do need a minimum viable product. And with the lean strategy that he talks about, waste is anything that you actually don't need to develop. And that goes in line with your minimum viable product, that anything is a waste that you don't need in your first iteration. It should only have the most important features and not be polished more than necessary. If you feel embarrassed about releasing the product, then you are on the right track. Just have the bare minimum. And then he goes on to talk about the 3 different types of MVPs. And there are many types of MVPs, but the most important function of the MVP is to understand, to learn whether your idea actually does solve the customer's problems, or do you have to pivot. By pivot, he means whether you have to do something else to find the right product market fit and look to develop something that actually your customer or your target audience needs, or whether who you think is your target audience is your actual target audience, or your target audience is something totally different. Now let's go over to the 3 examples that he talks about. One is a video MVP, and he gives the example of Dropbox. So the Dropbox CEO actually made a video showing a super easy file sharing tool, and he posted this online. I mean, a little bit more than that. And his sign up list actually went from 5,000 to around 75,000 overnight. The best part, the video was fake. The product did not exist. At least he knew there was a demand. And he probably had a great idea. He probably got all those leads that these are the type of people who are looking for his product. The next example he gives is the concrete MVP example. And it says that you give an idea by giving a few customers some special treatment. Focus on one or a few customers, of one small group of customers, and develop a product based on their particular needs. These are the early adopters. Let's say, for example, somebody's head is burning. What will the people whose heads are burning need? Probably you can make anything for them, but tailor your product, tailor your MVP for that particular market. A very small market, there are not too many people around whose heads are burning, but develop something for those people and you have a product market fit, at least for that initial market. So this was the concrete method. Then he talks about the Wizard of Oz minimum viable product method. Now this is a pseudo product. You have something to basically demonstrate. It looks like the real product, but it is not functional. It could be just really high definition or really high level mockups. It could just be clicking through a Figma product where these are just dummy. You have not developed or you have not coded anything yet. This Wizard of Oz method actually provides real early insights into your product's desirability, usability, and utility before you actually start to develop the product and spend tens and thousands of dollars in actually going into production. Whether it's an AI product or not, doesn't really matter. And you will be showing these designs and basic click through mobile applications to who you feel is your target audience, your target customer. And this will give you valuable information on what they want. So the premise of all of this is that customers actually do not know what they actually want. So you have to test and learn from their actions. Any action that does not help you learn what creates value for your customers is a waste, and it is against the lean methodology and the idea of your initial MVP. So in early on, what he is saying is that startups build products to learn how to build your product further and to build a sustainable business further. You want to build something, then measure the results and decide whether to pivot, change your direction, or to persevere, continue going on this path. For example, early on, Facebook realized that more than half the users are actually coming back to their site daily, showing that customers are actually valuing their product. So testing your assumptions is the way to go. You don't want to just build, okay, I have this grand idea for an automated car driving experience. Your idea of your experience that you have in your mind may not be what the customers are desiring, right? So build something slowly, test it out first before you actually go into spending thousands and millions of dollars on developing your products. Now it talks about different types of pivots. You got your MVP out there, or you had your first stage and you're moving forward. But at every stage, there could be pivots. And now he's going to give you loads of examples of what are pivots. And let's talk about all of these pivots that he is mentioning in the book. Now, the zoom in pivot. Okay, let's say, for example, you had a few features, let's say 2-3 features for your application, right? And one feature is the most utilized feature, that is what's drawing people back. And you can see through people's click-throughs and everything else and the time spent on a certain or particular page that, okay, this is the feature that people want. You need to zoom in and focus in on that one feature. Then is the zoom out pivot. You see that people are appreciating what you have developed. However, they want something broad. They're not just interested in putting out fire from their head. They probably have a fire on their chest, perhaps, or on their face. So the thing that you have can possibly be zoomed out to include putting out the fire from your head as well as your face and your chest. So that is called the zoom out pivot. Then a customer segment pivot. So you thought, those were only males with their head burning. Then you realize, oh, it's not just males whose heads are burning, but there are actually females whose heads are also burning. And there are actually more females whose heads are burning. So you want to pivot a bit more. You want to shift your customer segment from, let's say, from males, for example, to females, because you're saying, hey, 90% of people whose heads are burning are females. Not to, be political here, but just giving an example that is coming off the top of my head. So basically, you're pivoting to another group who will be better served by your product, who has more need for your product. Then something what he calls is a customer needs pivot. And the problems you try to solve aren't actually important. What you thought were the needs are actually not the needs, it's something else. You want something more important from your analysis and you want to shift to that, right? So you realize that they basically have a different problem. Then moving on is a platform pivot. For example, you have an application and your application is, let's say, for both Android and the iPhone. You initially thought that people were going to be on the iPhone, but no, you realize 90% are using Android, and you try to tease that out. Why is that? Why are Android users using your platform more? So then you pivot towards Android users and try to find out what are the specifics that Android users are more inclined to use your product. So then you realize you may need to change your platform. Then comes the architecture pivot. Now, this basically means that you are switching from business to business to customer, or business to customer to business. And a lot of startups also want to go to sell to business. Well, of course, it depends upon what you are actually developing. However, business to business could be more sustainable and more stable for the long run. However, if you found out you thought your telemedicine platform was for B2C, then you realized, oh, you can go to business. You can sell to insurance companies. You can sell to hospital systems. That is a more reliable and a sustainable way for your revenue generation. And you don't have to, blanket market all over the internet. You can just focus on some insurance companies and hospital systems. And you are basically looking to pivot from B2C to B2B. Then the pivot he talks about is value capture. And that basically means changing the way how you make money. You had a single business idea in mind. You thought you would go from a freemium model initially and then get people to sign up and then use your more advanced versions. But then you thought, no, we definitely need to do subscription all the way. I'm not coming up with a great example right now, but basically this means that you thought there was a way to get your income in, right? However, that's not working. Another way is working out better. So basically, you're looking to pivot to where your value is actually coming from. Then he talks about engine of growth. So changing your growth strategy. If ads on Facebook are not working, and you are finding out that ads on Google is working better, ads on YouTube are working better, so you change your growth strategy. So these things are iterations you're constantly looking to make. He's just defining all of these type of changes, and he's calling them pivots. He's basically defining these specific pivots. So when you are seeing something, you can put it into a category. Okay, so we are witnessing a value pivot. Then he mentioned something called the channel pivot. So channel pivot is changing your distribution method. You were initially thinking that, for example, App Store optimization was the best way for people to download your application. Then you realized, no, your content that you're making on YouTube is actually driving more traffic, and that is actually driving everything to your downloads page. So you focus in greatly on creating content, and you must think that, okay, not just YouTube, think about content elsewhere, right? So channeling your energies to a different distribution method. Then a technology pivot. Now, hopefully this is the last one. And technology pivot is achieving the same solution by utilizing a different technology. And that technology may be cheaper, more efficient, who knows? An example of this could be that you are providing customer support through AI. And then you realize, no, AI is still not working. AI is still not good enough. And you need to go back to humans. So a technology pivot. So these were some of the pivots that he talks about. So his whole idea is that you don't want waste. And waste comes from working on the wrong things and not doing work efficiently. And I think he had his mentor, I forgot his name, and the mentor says that surely there's nothing quite useless than working on something that does not need to be developed. So I definitely like to thank Eric Weiss for this wonderful book that I read 5-6 years back. And this basically helped change my own thinking and my own way how I approach product development. So yeah, that was a breakdown, and hopefully this was helpful. Let me know what you think. I'm going to have a link in the description for this book if you want to go over this yourself. But hopefully this provided value. And if it did, definitely share this video, and I'll probably be having more book reviews. So hopefully we can all learn together. Thank you so much.